What's going on, everybody?
I don't know. We're going to get a good one and we're going to record it. That's what we're going to do.
That's what we're going to do.
Welcome to Harmonize.
Welcome to Harmonize Pod.
Harmonize Podcast. So we talk about being black.
Yes, being a woman.
Being a mommy.
Being a wife.
Being an artist.
Being a Christian.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, and we're going to really need this one today for today's show.
Look, and how to make it all harmonized. Because balance is a lie.
Yes, balance is. Yes, you're going to fall right over on your boo-boo.
If you try to do that.
Yeah, don't do it.
But you can harmonize your life and make all the parts work together.
Yes, you can.
Yes, you can.
Ooh,
so it sound beautiful like Boys to Men and In Vogue.
Yes.
Temptation.
Did you say In Vogue?
I did.
Oh, I love that group.
I have no sense.
Oh my gosh. Well, you all, we have been quite drained through the week's activities.
Yes.
Miss Nina, would you start us off on the climate of the affairs in our country?
Mm-hmm. So we all have, no doubt, unless you are completely disconnected from all types of news and social media,
which I am not mad at.
Right, at all.
Not at all.
It's the life you're living.
Yes.
Know what happened in Charlottesville this week,
and
it has taken its toll in many different ways. And what I don't want to do in this episode is actually talk about Charlottesville.
No.
Because there are many people who are incredibly intelligent and have lots of insight who feel that is their lane in the work now.
Right.
And I know that a lot of people who listen to the show so that they can find some joy. And so that's actually what I want us to talk about, is how do you find joy, cultivate joy, choose joy, help your family have that in the midst of these kind of events happening.
Right.
And how that is also a valid part of the work of being an artist.
Yes.
And I think I might have even talked about that a little bit in one episode. I talked about being on the season planning team and how, everything was happening. The Movement for Black Lives conference was happening in Cleveland. Like, all of these things had just happened. Mike Brown's death, Tamir Rice's death. And we were talking about doing this really beautifully written, well-written, crazy comedy. And so the team was like, is it right to do this? And I was like, yes, because people need to laugh.
We need the joy. Yeah. We need the joy. We need a happy ending.
Yeah.
We need joy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's what I want to talk about.
Yeah.
How do we? And this episode might not be as long,
as
some of the others, but but part of our art of being a woman is sharing some of the black girl magic.
Yes, share some of it.
And the black boy joy.
Yes, black boy joy, y'all.
Right. Hashtag.
Yes. Listen, and this is again another way of the art, the art of being a woman too, is to be able to take that, the climate around you, from what you live and what you feel and what you see and what, that covers all of the senses, and, turn it into something beautiful, or at least something heartfelt. I think my source for those things the things that was really affecting me at one point in the very recent past, I guess, was the mishandling of young girls, women, because young girls turn up to be women if they, are lucky to live long enough.
Right.
And a series of things happened to me around last year. And if they didn't happen to me, they happened around me or very, very close in my area.
Right.
One of the things that kept coming up was these stories of young girls getting taken. There was a lot of activity. I don't know. I felt like, there's always a lot of activity, but there was some activity last year around October or so, where girls were getting just getting snatched up. And, it was a case of the young lady who was followed at the bus stop and taken and, I'm not going to go into all the gory details. I'm sure if you've been following the news, you know what I'm talking about. It's not, it's the last time it's happened, hopefully it won't happen again, but, we know the reality of life. But anyways, it seemed like to me it was happening one after another young girl being missing, and me having a young girl and a young boy, with this happening within, 12 minutes from where I live. That was very scary. So that happened. Another thing happened where I received a Dropbox of, I don't know how the airdrop happened, but however it happened, someone sent me a video of a young girl. Again, I won't go into the details, but it wasn't supposed to go into my
you
Dropbox.
weren't supposed to get
I
it.
wasn't supposed to get it.
Yeah.
It had something to do with what's the word? The words all escape me because all I see is the visions in my head.
The child was being molested.
Right.
And it was in a video, and this person Dropboxed it to everyone who was in the immediate area.
Right. And, it was so bad that I had to take it to the police. I learned a few things along the way. I hope the girl has been found. I don't know if she ever will be found, and right around that time, for whatever reason, I was doing some work with the Rape Crisis Center. So in my heart, I felt like I needed to do a piece, that it was something that I couldn't ignore because, believe it or not, a few more events, some more incidences happened around the circle of girls and women that I teach. And I couldn't hide it any longer. I needed to kind of give our children, our young girls, and our women a voice in some type of way. So I created this dance, and it was actually very, I felt very good about doing it. Of course, while I was doing the choreography, of course, I was crying, doing the research, teaching the choreography. It was just a mess. I even involved my young daughter because these are events and things that she needed to know. She's a young girl. I had to explain these kinds of horrific events to her, to other girls around that age. One young lady who was very good friends with the girl who was actually taken. And out of that, believe it or not, was not only a nice piece of choreography that I was pretty proud of, but the fact that it was able to give voice to and make awareness of, a situation that deeply affected me. I needed to do it. And I don't know why I was chosen to do it, but I was chosen to do it. So I did it. And although it was a really crazy situation, I won't say if I found joy in it, but what I could say is that it brought some semblance of peace. Just bringing up the awareness and the topic, And so sometimes, as much as I love to laugh and have a good time, and I still do, I have to give a voice to what's really been going out there. Now, one thing I can say about that particular piece that I've done, because I've done a couple of serious pieces, but about that particular piece is that with the idea of Black Girl Magic and the idea of, empowerment, I ended it specifically on a note where there was a sense of hope. Because for me to create anything that talks about our times but not giving it a sense of hope, it fails. It's not. We're supposed to do it. Our spirit leads us to do that, and we're supposed to always keep keep hope alive, if you will. And what better way than use your art, your source of, your particular weapon, your choice of weapon, as Gordon Parks used, in order to bring awareness, educate, and offer some type of hope to the world. If you are a painter or a photographer, a singer, an actor, if you create certain cuisines or, any type of art you can think of that can offer some type of, help or something that can soften your situation so that you can be able to live in a better world. You have to be able to do that. And the only way you can do that is if you take in some of these tragedies, and then you as the artist are responsible for, bringing all those things to life and bringing them out into the open and making it,
and not carrying them, because I think one of the
that's easy to do as a mother,
right? And I think what being an artist allows, or being, and let me even extend this, being creative in any way, whether it's in business, in the way that you care for your home, the way that you cook a meal, whatever. Creativity in any way is an expression and an outlet. And I remember when I was writing my first one-woman show, and it was my thesis in grad school. And I was young and in my 20s and crazy, and thought I could do everything.
Oh my God, when you're 20 you can do everything. Didn't you know?
Exactly. And and I was like, I want my show to be about Black women, and I wanted it to be about Black women from New Orleans, and I wanted to deal with depression and poverty and education and Creole culture and the crack epidemic and just everything. And I want to be able to draw in the show, and I want to dance in the show, and I want to sing in the show, because the show has all the things that I do, and I have to write it. And because our professors had said your thesis has to be your definitive work up until that point. And I was like, well, these are the things that will make it, my most definitive piece of work. And as crazy as all that is,
you were right. Who knew?
I found a way to actually get all of that into the show.
Oh, wow.
But
this you're a genius at 20.
Right? Something like that. But one of the things, I remember we were doing like a workshop reading. And there was I will never forget this lady, little old white lady.
Okay.
Came up to me after the show. And she was just like silently weeping.
Wow.
And she came and she held my hands, and depending on what tradition you're from, you call it different things. Some people would say she gave me a reading. Some people would say, she gave me a word.
Yes, right.
And but she basically, like, she held my hands, and like soon as she took my hand, she went, oh,
oh,
and I was like, what's the matter?
Are you okay?
Right. Yeah. And she said, I just need a minute so I can form the words. And she said, you have an incredible ability, as an artist, to tap into people's pain.
Yeah,
and,
you do.
Right, and tell their story. And she said, but what you have to remember.
Oh, Lord.
Hey, it was a good word. I still remember it. She said, what you have to remember is that you are a vessel. Yeah. And not a container.
Oh, that was a good word.
She said, you take it in, but pour it back out.
Yes.
She said, because if you keep it too long,
it
spoils.
Yes. That is a good word.
Okay.
Oh, my God.
Random white lady in West
Go
Virginia.
on. Yes, West Virginia. How about that? And that's very important, the fact that, we're talking about Virginia.
Right.
And that's really insightful.
Yeah, and I think that as artists, that's one of the things we have to remember, and that is part of the way that you find your joy. Yeah, that you cannot, because also if you're in the public eye in any way, whether you want it or not, you have influence.
Yes,
if you're in the public eye in any way, and you're any kind of performer, especially. in order to perform with any kind of impact, you make yourself vulnerable.
Right.
And then that causes people to think they know you.
Right.
Because you've shown some, vulnerable and genuine part of yourself. So then they think they know you.
It allows for a beautiful conversation between the audience or the onlooker and the artist.
Right. And so then what happens is they come to you looking for answers.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you have some level of influence in
you
their
just
life.
Touch them in a way very deeply that maybe their friend of 20 years or their parents or whatever couldn't reach.
Right. And so then they come to you and they want you to like give them those things, and you can't always do that. And I know, like, particularly we can't do that because we have families. Like, our families need that part of us.
And that's what made me stop trying to do that.
Yeah,
was being a mom and being in a family. Right, was just fact that we have to,
that we can't carry it, and that we have to have that boundary and keep apart for ourselves.
We have to keep that distance.
That healthy distance. And I think that part of, like how I keep my joy, and one of the ways that I'm able to do that, and this is gonna sound harsh.
Okay, go on, bring it on.
I stopped talking to white people about race.
Okay.
I just stopped.
Yeah, yeah.
I because, and let me clarify and qualify.
Okay.
That doesn't mean that I would never ever will do it or whatever.
Right.
But like when, for example, when Trump was elected, there were several dear friends of mine, colleagues that I respect.
Yeah.
Their art. I respect them as people. I love them.
May have broken bread with them.
Absolutely. I love who they are and what they stand for and all the things. And there was a group of them who were like, we need to have a safe place to be together and grieve this thing.
Right. Okay.
And I was like, that's awesome.
Okay.
I ain't coming. Y'all go do that. That's great. I will not be doing that with you. I'm going to be doing that with, and it's not that.
Okay.
I don't feel you.
Right.
I feel you.
I hear you.
But I'm going to go do that with my sisters.
Yeah.
Because what you crying about and what I'm crying about is two different things.
I see what you're saying.
And it's like, and I love y'all.
Yeah.
But I'm not about to sit in the room with a bunch of white women and let y'all cry and then look to me, my sister, to
more
tell
pressure.
Me I don't have no answers.
Pressure.
I don't have no answers for you.
Look, I don't know about you, but I'm just getting educated about what's going on.
Right.
Like,
it's like
last week, so I ain't got no answers.
Like, I don't have no answers for you.
I wish I did.
to be really crass.
Yeah.
And I know for a fact that none of these people meant this way, right? But it is by the sheer volume and amount of people that approached me during this time that this comment comes from.
Okay.
I am not your mammy.
Oh Lord, take it to
I'm not your confessor.
Yeah.
I do not have a strong black bosom for you to lay upon and cry and seek healing and refuge. You know what I mean? That's for my kids. But I mean, it's like the sheer volume of people.
And then, let me cut you off right there because I think because of the person you are, people come to you for advice anyway. Yeah. Because you come off as, to them, I think, because you touch so many people and you have the power to be able to connect with a lot of people's pain, they instinctively feel like, I have a person to go to lay my burdens down.
That's cute.
And it's not, that's not it.
Because you know what? It's also, it's something called therapy.
Yes.
And the church. Whatever church you need to go to, or both.
Okay.
I personally,
plus other stuff.
Right. I personally partake in both.
Yes.
And my friendships and my husband. Right. All of that. And and the thing is, it's just you know, I get it. I understand. I'm not about to sit here on this microphone and teach class on critical race theory.
Okay.
I'm just not going to do it.
Right.
As, you know, my influencers in the podcasting world, Kid Fury and Crystal say, you have access to the same Google I do.
Go and Google.
She is available to you 24/7. You know,
that's
do your Googles.
Funny. Go Google it. Now, I have to say, I'm trying to think now. I usually will engage in conversation, but you have to be a particular person for me to do that. You know, and a lot of my friendships they just happen. Yeah. You happen to be white or whatever you are, they just happen. Yeah. And so I actually feel, because I don't get the same volumes that you get. Because I've seen it. I've seen people just like blow your telephone up. I've seen people stop you, and like you and me will be together. People will stop you, cut me off, and they want to talk to you. They want your time. You know, all of that. That doesn't really happen to me so much. But what I do get is I'll befriend people who I find to be quite close. You know, where I feel this sisterly connection, who happen to be white. And if they strike up a conversation with me and they really want to know, I'm open and ready to have, and I'd rather them have it with me,
absolutely,
than have it with anyone else. Because you know, for me to still continue to try and learn and figure all of this stuff out at the age that I am, you know, I feel like I don't know too much, but of course, because I am African American, I know so much. And then also people assume that I know so much when I really don't. So I'm really trying to figure this whole thing out. I am all for the world peace. I understand it. I also understand the realities. You know, I understand when I talk to people, to white people, you know, for the most part, I can pretty much sense if you're very well intentioned or not, even if you come off as being crass. I can decipher that, but you know, I can't answer all of the questions, and I can't let you all into the world, because you know, like I said, sometimes I don't even know myself. You know, but I can say that I do feel it. When I know who's sincere and I know who's not. I know who's playing games with me.
Absolutely. And I'm not saying that I never engage, because you know, obviously I do, but like there was a point where it was like, you know, my friends are talking about it. Everybody on Facebook is talking about it. And now we're in a meeting.
And it's like, Nina, what you think? Nina, tell us, talk to us.
We're at a meeting at work. And it has turned into
the Nina hour.
Well, not even that it's turned into the Nina hour. It's turned into, this is the safe space where we can talk about it together. And it's like, you know,
I don't really feel all that safe right now.
I'm tapping out. I'm tapping out. I'm not talking about this with y'all.
Here's a job who really only hires me as outreach, and everybody else gets a regular job. I was talking about that today. Sorry, y'all. But honey, I'm valuable as long as I'm an outreach person.
Well, and that's another topic for another day. but you know, it's like that's one of the ways that that is a boundary that I have set in recent time, so that, you know, I can continue to cultivate joy. Because if I'm talking about it, and again, it's not to say that I never have the conversation with white people. I do. Right. But I choose when and where I want to engage. And I don't. Now on the other side of 40, I don't feel. You know, and
she said on the other side of 40, y'all.
You know what? But you know, and this is completely my own, you know, stuff and nobody else's.
Right.
But on the other side of 40, I no longer feel the obligation to be the one who educates if no one else will engage. Right. Because I used to feel like, well, somebody has to answer it.
Right. And this is our duty as
right. But you know what? But again, it don't have to be me. Right. Because I know people who have gone out and educated themselves.
Right. That's true. That's true.
I know people who have gone out and educated themselves.
Right.
People who have gone out and educated themselves,
just like we have to do.
You know, And so it's like I don't have to do that heavy lift for
right,
you.
Right.
And it's also actually a job, and people get paid for that.
Right.
And you ain't
getting paid.
paying me for that. So
Nina, we need you to outreach.
So to stay black and protect my magic. As the people say, I don't, I choose. So maybe I should not say I don't talk to white people about it. Maybe a better way to say it is I choose when and where I engage.
Okay.
And when and where I enter.
I hear you.
And I do not allow people to just suck me in.
Yeah.
To like, we're talking about this and we're all going to talk about this now. And since you're Nina.
I am now affected by this, and I know that you've been, but I am ready to talk. So let's talk.
And watch this. Y'all know that meme of Viola Davis that's going around where she got on the nice little swoop wig and she got on her coat and it says, when you go to the meeting and it could have been an email and she picking up the purse to leave. That's what I do in those conversations when I no longer want to do that. It's like when this conversation started and I'm uninviting myself. Oh
my gosh. Yes, there's a lot to learn from that type of language.
Yeah. Listen. And I like, and we've been doing gardening.
Yeah.
So I like this word right now, cultivate.
Yes, cultivate.
And I cultivate my joy. Like I've done this since I was really young. Yeah. I make it a point to watch comedy before I go to sleep.
Oh, that's really good.
Before I go to sleep, I watch comedy. I do not let my news feed be the last thing I see. I do not.
I'm going to try that.
A Twitter feed be the last thing I see. If I am on Twitter, I'm on a specific Twitter. Like I'm going to Kev on Stage's page.
Right.
I'm going to Alonzo what's his face's page. Like I'm going to something that's going to make me laugh. I go to bed.
Oh yes.
With joy
Cliff
in my
Owusu.
head. Listen, okay, Quiff. Hey.
The jokes are it's so terrible sometimes, but it's so funny.
Exactly. I go to bed with I purposefully put joy in my head, in my heart, in my spirit before I go to bed. I'm watching a comedy. I'm going, and most times it's a comedy with black, at the very least, brown people, because I want to see black and brown people happy before I go to bed.
Yes, that would be because we very often are happy. I mean, I know a lot of people think we're angry, but we're not.
Or we are, and we got a good reason to be. But that don't mean I gotta go to bed angry.
Let me get started on that. I just had a situation that I had to deal with. Now you all, come on, family, listen to me very carefully.
Listen, when we go to humming like old Negro spiritual, listen.
Let me tell you something. You guys know me enough to know that I'm pretty lighthearted. Anybody who knows me knows I'm pretty much a lighthearted person.
Okay.
There's very few things that bring the complete evil out of me. If you know me pretty well, or even if you don't, you'll know that I'm a likable person. I usually like to laugh a lot. I like to keep things light. I don't like a lot of drama. And I have my own quote that I say, I love jokes. I love jokes. I love jokes all day long. But I ain't got time for games. So that is Kenya Woods. Okay. I do not like to be brought to a situation that makes me the angry black woman. That has happened to me this summer twice. And that has hurt my feelings a lot because I feel like I've been put in a situation where my feelings,
they need to see it. Let them have it with hand claps.
Yes, with hand claps. Where I have, and it's never good when I happen to be black. They happen to be another color. And so I hate when I'm being put in that position. I have to go through centuries of trying to understand who I am and where I come from and what people think about me and blah, 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 before I can really say to myself, Kenya, did you do the right thing? Did you, I hate to have to go through I had to have to search my heart all that time over and over again, only to find out, Kenya, you had every right to be upset. I hate to have to do that, because I don't do that to I don't think I do that to other people.
That's what listen, okay. I'm not gonna teach a class, I promise.
Okay, don't
but
teach
that's what that's what institutionalized racism and systemic racism does.
Right.
And
have you all ever felt like that?
Right.
Hit us up.
There was a point where I realized if something happens and I feel a way and I'm standing here checking myself and second guessing myself,
and third and fourth and fifth, yeah,
the easiest way for me to partially because of the way that I grew up, I was programmed not to trust my own instincts. So it was taking a lot of work for me to trust my own instincts. But one of the easiest ways for me to realize I'm right and this was crazy and messed up what just happened to me is I picture it happening to someone else.
Okay. Oh, yes.
So it's like, if I'm like, am I wrong? Whenever that question bubbles up first, the first thing I have retrained my brain to do is picture if this happened to your sister.
Oh.
Picture if this happened to your husband.
Oh.
Picture if this happened to Kenya.
Oh.
What would you do? It's like, I would be hot. Okay. I'm not crazy. This fool is wrong.
Right.
And it's about to pop
off. Right. That's right.
And
that's right.
And that's took work. It takes
creativity,
work, and creativity.
It really does.
But,
and I just remember you because you've worked through a whole lot of pain. You found a lot of joy through a lot of pain, girl. And child, we gotta stop. But you did your play, Your Mama.
Your Mama.
Yes. Which I thought was, just, I'm speechless.
Thank you.
Because I know
I accept
you, and
that's another way I cultivate joy. I just say thank you.
Yes, just say thank you. Because you went to
that. Shout out to my sister.
Yes, shout out. We got to have you on, girl. Pokey.
We do. See, my sister got a nickname. We talked about nicknames in the last episode.
Yes. Her sister is so beautiful that when she walks down the street, she looks like world peace. Like Pocahontas. You know Pocahontas, right? So instead of calling her world peace, I call her Pokey, short for Pocahontas.
Oh my God.
So when I see her, I want to say, have you ever seen the moon? Have you chased the colors of the wind, of the moon, and the wolf?
Kenya.
When she walks, her hair blows, and there's a water fountain that comes down, and all the animals come out, and they're like, Pokey. You're so awesome.
Not even deal with you. This is another way I cultivate joy. I spend time with Kenya.
I mean, really, why not laugh? But yeah, so when you did it, your idea was, and it was a whole thing that we do here on the podcast. You wanted to delve into the whole being of juggling, because it's hard to juggle,
right?
Just like it's hard to balance,
right?
And I'll never forget your the photo that you had for your one woman show. That was fabulous. Your Mama.
Oh, thank you.
Yes. It was you juggling everything from the cross to the baby diapers to to the thespian sign to to all of that, and it was you juggling all of that, and your intention was just to talk about what it had to but you found what when you it was joy, a lot.
Joy,
you found joy. It was a lot
in my heart.
Down in my heart.
Down in my heart.
I got that joy. Sing it with me. Where down in my heart to stay.
Okay. You are welcome. You have just gone to church.
Okay, anyway. So I think during that process of doing this particular play, this one woman show.
Absolutely.
You had a lot of struggles.
Right. And we worked through some stuff.
Yeah.
We worked through it.
But it's probably one of your greatest works.
Well, thank you.
Oh, absolutely, child. Aside from the one that you did just recently, but
right.
That was the one that stuck out to me most.
Right.
That's the one I kind of promoted because I knew people who would be able to understand you on that level specifically, and it wasn't so much about race even. It was about womanhood and mothers and and fathers and just all of that. So you can Google it. So what I'm gonna say is the other thing that we do to cultivate joy. You hear all of New Orleans just came flowing out my mouth. Yes, child.
Okay.
Yes.
Is we dance. Okay?
Yes, you dance. You dance.
I'm gonna link y'all to some facts about dance and some facts about laughing.
Yes.
Because it is known to both things to chemically alter your brain.
Right.
And sometimes you have to.
Right.
And if we didn't learn anything from our parents and grandparents in the movement, in the struggle, is that they did not, because of the urgency and they did not have a lot of time to cultivate self-care.
No.
But what you gotta know is if you have to tap out, there are other people on the front line. So you got to tap out, rest, refresh, come back.
Yes.
To the work.
Yeah.
And sometimes that just means
like Obama did when he checked out.
Girl,
he was just ski driving and
see now you gonna make me do
dolphins
it.
And
now you gonna make me do it.
They was going to Italy having gelatos and Michelle had a little thing hanging off her shoulder bearing. She had the right to bear her arms.
Do you know you gonna make me do it?
Come on.
Here it come. It's finna come. I gotta see.
Just having a good time.
I don't know if it's gonna play or not. It might not play.
Yes.
You see. Is it coming? Okay, wait.
The
quickest, easiest, bestest way for you to get some immediate
joy.
Is
gotta move that body.
You gotta move that body.
You gotta move it.
Specifically, you need to move it to some New Orleans bounce music.
There you go. Come on.
Because that's what's gonna do it for you.
Yeah.
Nothing else gonna do it the way this gonna do it.
Yes.
Because when it come on, you just gotta move.
And I think we just can take a lesson from the people in New Orleans.
Come on.
We really can. I mean, who has had tragedy?
Come on.
The tragedy. Still having it. Flooding. All kinds of stuff.
Okay.
When I turn around, I see umbrellas.
Okay.
Fans. It was in the girls' trip. Yes. Where do people go when they want to party? New Orleans. Where's the best jazz music come from? The original, the start, the beginnings?
Listen.
New Orleans.
Listen.
Okay, that second line.
Listen.
Okay, let's not talk. Yes, it has even made its way into the church. Because why do we have umbrellas and stuff at the Alex Haley's dance troupe? Yes, I said that very ghetto and ignorant. Because that's what people say to me. You went to the Alex Haley's?
Not the Alex Haley's.
No. He's the author of Roots. Alex Haley never walked around with a white unitard.
Yeah. Are you sure? I thought that was him.
Oh yes.
I put it in the editing. That's
okay. Yes.
So, but you gotta laugh. You
have to laugh. You have to find joy. You gotta get your bounce on.
Right. Set a boundary.
Yes.
Find your joy. Find your laughter. And go twerk something.
And you know what? Can I give you all a tip?
Come on. That's what we're doing. We're giving tips.
Yes. Okay. So, because I don't want to... Pain happens.
Yeah.
Pain happens everywhere. The best thing that you can do is, like you said, put on some music. As a mother, particularly as a mother, when I had my children and I felt like I was in this rut creatively, I very often felt like I was stuck at home. I didn't have a lot of money to even get too much out of the house, so a lot of my vacation was right in my kitchen, and in between all of that time, I'm finding ways to still be creative. I don't know how I did it, but I did. I didn't realize that I was creating a history, as my one friend put it. So what I used to do was put on samba music.
Yeah.
I would put on this samba music, and I would samba for like 20 minutes. And I wasn't following, anything. I just put the favorite songs that I like, and I just danced the way I wanted to dance. If the kids wanted to come in and join me, they did. If they wanted me to stop, they would just hang on my leg. Usually they didn't. They want me to samba with them, one on one arm, one on my leg. And I would just continue to do that. Or I would just, if I wasn't samba, sometimes I would just do some movement from ballet or, And you know what? When I did that for so long, I remember you came to the house because you were riding your mama.
Yep.
And I'm going to see if I can find those pictures because I have pictures of that day. I had on a headscarf and a dirty, nasty little T-shirt. I look like I just got through picking cotton. I did.
This girl.
A mess. I don't even know if I had showered. And you were discussing how you were going to do this. I'm like, girl, this is great. You got to put this together. Make sure you put this and make sure you put that. And I'm dancing. And you were like, well, why don't you do a show? And I'm like, a show? Who's going to want to watch
me?
Woman. And when you said that, I was like, okay. Do you know the movement that I did for the show that I put on at CPT, Through Her Eyes?
Yep.
Was all the movement came from my kitchen.
Yep.
And I remembered when I did a lot of my best movement, they were in tiny living rooms. I had to use my imagination. I had little to nothing to work with. And then I found my work on a bigger stage, in an area where I could really move freely. And I could see the whole, the work coming to life. And so what I thought was pain at the time, or what was uncomfortable, or where I felt stuck, was actually exactly what I needed to say what I needed to say. But not only that, not just for me, what it was I was able to develop a dialogue with other people that I think are forgotten, women who are forgotten in this field. Men, it is many times it's easier for men to be able to have their dinner and have wife put the dishes aside so they can go to the study and do their music. I've watched my mom and my dad for years, and not to say that he doesn't do his own dishes, because Miss Woods makes sure that he do.
Because Miss Moselle
don't play, honey. He does them dishes. He knows how, and he knows how to do it too. Because he always said, I never had sisters, so my grandmama had to make it. We had to learn how to cook our own food. We had to clean up after ourselves. So, and she would say, "Oh, y'all, you boys don't have no sister. You're gonna have to pull it together." So, I believe it's easier for him to get up from the table and say, well, I must go study. And we, as the children, we just never bothered him because he was father. You don't bother father. Mom, different story. Mom got to fight for that time, so it's a different deal when you're an artist and you're a woman, because you don't get to say, well, thank you very much. Dinner was great. Honey, I'm going to need you to take care of those dishes and put those kids to bed, because I got to go and find some choreography, something that inspires me. Girl, can you imagine what Joseph would... I married a man from Queens.
Listen, I think he'll surprise you one day.
One day he has sometimes. Yeah, well, but I mean, for me to sit back and say, oh, I wonder if Joseph is ever going to just take this. That's not happening.
Right. No, you gotta cultivate it.
I gotta cultivate it.
You got to take. That's what I'm gonna say. I think you're touching on it. It's that sometimes, depending on and even though you didn't grow up in the South, your parents are Southern.
Yeah, no, I was Southern raised. Right. That's for sure.
And there's some of those ideas that one of the hardest things to do, I tell people as a parent, is to do something different from what your parents did. Yeah. And it's not always that you want to do something different because you felt
you just want to be rebellious. Right. Yeah, it's not that at all.
That you want to be rebellious and wrong. It's that sometimes it doesn't work for you.
Right.
Sometimes you you realize that that's not best for the family.
Right.
You know, whatever it is, but it is one of the hardest things to do because they're your first example, and it's a living example. It's in front of you every day.
Right.
And so it's the first thing that comes to mind.
Right.
You know, I grew up deep south. You know, Mama cooked the food and she plated the food and she set the food on the table. And
yes, on fine china.
We used to joke how my uncles would come in the kitchen, sit down at the table, watch her cook, and then get up and go to the living room and wait for their wives to come pick it up and bring it to them. But here's the thing. It wasn't that there's just so much patriarchal and misogynistic because I've seen each of those same men do the same for their wives. So no mistake. Right. But that was the way Mama was raised. Yeah. And that was what Mama did for her sons and for her husband and for her brothers. Right. Because for her that was an expression of love. Right. That was the way that she expressed it. Right. So, you know, in no way disrespecting practice, but also that might not work in the current family you have. Like, you know, in the last episode we talked about that crazy day I had, you know, so I didn't prep anything, and guess what? I didn't think about it either. And I came home and
you were fine. Weren't you fine?
And I was fine, and they were fine. Because Daddy took care of it.
They lived another day, and they were happy.
Daddy took care of it, and he wasn't mad at me either.
Right. All right then. Then that's a good day. Right. You know, that is a good day. And you know what I think what I tend to do too, because I'm raised that way too. My great grandmother was Miss Manners. We dare not eat on paper plates. Okay. My parents, they're just like for them to have paper plates, they have to really be slumming. Even when we go over to their house for you know, Labor Day or Memorial Day, it's never paper plates. It is always a festive plastic ware. You know? It's something that you can still keep. It's neatly, nicely, you know. They just don't do paper plates. That just doesn't work out for me, you know, and I find myself challenging myself with that because I want to be able to provide, you know, I do believe that the dinner table is a great way for everybody to come together and, you know, share your ideas and talk about things. You know, my family is not quite like that. My husband works sometimes. He works well into the night. He's too tired he's come stumbling in sometimes. Sometimes after rehearsal, I come stumbling in. You know, we're at the age where the kids have, you know, I'm just like, here's a pot of chili. If you don't like that, I'm going to teach you how to make your own quesadilla, you know.
And there's also
have an apple.
A fine sandwich that you can make for yourself.
There's a fine sandwich. Yes, you can. You know, lunch. You do your own lunches. Right. You know, and but I do try and keep up with a lot of the, you know, when we do have our big dinners, and we've done enough dinners where that, you know, hopefully they know what a fork is and a knife is.
Well, and I think a big part of that stuff is like, you know, you do those things for real when they bring you joy. I mean,
yes, if they bring you joy, absolutely.
You know, because it
does. I have to harmonize sometimes. Yeah. You know, especially when when you're dealing with a funny climate, the pain, when you're dealing with all of that kind of stuff. You have to just regroup. Now, sometimes you have to roll up your sleeves. You have to just muddle through and do what you got to do. You have to in order for yourself to be together. But there are also times where you just have to be extremely creative in your process. And, you know, when you give into that creativity, you will find some type of joy to ease any, you know, whatever kind of pain. Now, that is not to say that being creative will be the be all end all when it comes to having yourself cured through pain, because we don't exactly know what kind of pain you're going through. Right. I'm just talking about the climate around us and you know, those things that we're feeling, and using, you know, being able to use your art in order to soothe or bring a smile to yourself.
And for the mommies out there, another thing, and I would say even aunties, uncles, you know, cousins, if you have children in your life, children access joy so easily.
Yeah.
And when Jonathan and I were still in school and we had Jen, like, you know, she was an infant at this point. And one of our professor mentors, Dr. Van Cole, she said to us, I'm going to tell you something. She said, the hardest part of parenting is going to be when you have to walk out of the room and laugh and then come back to discipline them. And we're like, this woman crazy. And she is so right. But she was so right. And she said, so just remember that. Yeah. And remember that.
Because a lot of stuff comes with parenting.
Right. And she said, you know, because, and she said, and I tell you that not because I want you to think about what's hard, but I also want you to think about what a gift that is. Yeah. And, you know, remember that, like, there is a verse, my Bible scholars will help me because I don't remember exactly where it is. Okay. You know, but it says, you know, the Lord delights in his children. And, you know, I had an understanding of that. But then when I had kids and the particular kind of joy, like, okay, the 2-year-old said to me the other day, so the library is like 2 blocks from our house. We can walk to the library, right? Right. And so we keep a canvas reusable like grocery bag. We keep the library books in there, so like when we're ready to bring them back, you know, we know where they are and they're not mixed in with other books on the shelf. Right. So he was running or something, he knocked the bag down. Of course. And so I said, well, let me help you, Jaden. He's 2. He's I do not want your help. All right, Dr. Seuss. Let me do it. I did it, Mommy. And I hollered because it was so funny. He was so insulted. I do not want your help. Let me do it.
Oh my gosh. That's like Sage's what? Right. It's a what? Right. Someone said to Sage, oh, I think my niece said, hey Sage, what? She was like, what is a what?
And when they have that stuff, man, you gotta take that stuff and let that joy. So one last tip before we go. Yes. If you are involved in the Twitter at all,
Twitterations,
go on Twitter and search the hashtag Black Kid Joy 2K17. Hebben of Another Round podcast. Is it 2K17 or 2K16? Search it anyway. I'll and you know what? I will find it and put it in the show notes. Okay. But basically, there was a day when a lot of heavy stuff was happening. Yeah. And she found this one like really funny Vine, and you know, of some little kid doing something crazy. And she was like, "Y'all, let's start a movement." And like hundreds of people added to this thread. And so, you know, it still exists because once it's out there, it's out. You know, it's out there, but you can search it. And it's just video after video after video after video
of funny
of these little babies being funny and delightful and happy. And it's just like you could feel everybody who was engaged with it online. It was like you could feel everybody's right. This is why we stay in right. You know, and this is why we find joy, because they have to see joy. If we don't show them joy, they won't have joy.
That's right.
And as the good book says, the joy of the Lord is my strength. Why are you laughing at me so hard,
girl? Because it's been a joyful day. Right. Joyful.
It's a joyful day. We made a joyful noise.
Yes, we did. We made a lot of joyful noise. I got in trouble for making too much joyful noise all the time.
See?
But the Lord loved it.
Hey.
So I'm told.
There you go. All right. We will see y'all next time. Don't forget to follow us.
Please follow us.
You're so funny. Follow us on Twitter at Harmonize Pod. Email us at harmonizenk@gmail.com. Follow us on Instagram at Harmonize Pod. Follow us on Facebook, Harmonize with Nina and Kenya. I was about to say with Nina and Twitter. Harmonize with Nina and Kenya. And we hope to hear from y'all. We are on Apple Podcasts, Podbean.
She knows all of them.
You can find us on Stitcher, on Acast, on Overcast, on TuneIn. We on
Undercast? Is there Undercast?
I don't know.
Over there, cast.
Right.
You might find us there.
But if you follow us on Apple Podcasts, please follow us on Apple Podcasts as well, and like and rate us.
Yes.
That is helpful in helping to get sponsorships.
Yes,
child.
come on, y'all. Sponsorships.
And we will talk to y'all later.
Take a breath.